ॐ
ॐ
सदाशिवसमारम्भां
सदाशिवसमारम्भां
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहना
ॐ सहना
सहना
भवतु
भवतु
सहनौ
सहनौ
भुनक्तु
भुनक्तु
सह
सह
वीर्यं
विद्वावहै
करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा
विद्विषावहैः
विद्विषावहै
ॐ
ॐ
शान्ति
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 शान्ति शान्तिः
शान्तिः. So we were on the Brahmananda Valli, Anuvaka 6. We will chant it again. So please unmute yourself. Asanneva sabhavati
असन्नेव
असन्नेव
स
स
भवति
भवति
asad brahmeti vechet
असद्ब्रह्मेति
असद्ब्रह्मेति
वेद
वेच्चेत्
चेत्
asti brahmeti ched
अस्ति
अस्ति
ब्रह्मेति
ब्रह्मेति
चेद्वेद
चेद्वेद
santamenam tato viduriti
सन्तमेनं
सन्तमेनं
ततो
ततो
विदुरिति
विदुरिति
tasyesha eva sharira atma
तस्यैष
तस्यैष
एव
एव
शारीर
शारीर आत्मा
आत्मा
yaf purvasya
यः
यः
पूर्वस्य
पूर्वस्य
athato nu prashnaha
अथातो नु प्रश्नाः
अथातोऽनुप्रश्नाः
उता विद्वाम् उमम् लोकम् प्रेत्य
उत
उत
विद्वानमृतं
विद्वानिमं लोकं प्रेत्य
प्रेत्य
कश्चन गच्छति
कश्चन
कश्चन
गच्छति
गच्छति
आहो विद्वान् उमम् लोकम् प्रेत्य
आहो
आहो
विद्वानमं लोकं
विद्वानमृतं
प्रेत्य
प्रेत्य
कश्चित् समश्नुता
कश्चित्
कश्चित्
समश्नुता
समश्नुता
सोकामयत्
सौकामयत
सोकामयत्
हुस्याम् प्रजायेयेति
बहुस्यां
बहुस्यां
प्रजायेति
प्रजायेयेति
स तपोतप्यत्
स
तपोतप्यत्
तपोतप्यत
स तपस्तप्त्वा
स तपस्तपस्तत्वा
इदिगम् सर्वम् असृजत्
इदगं
इदं
सर्वमसृजत
सर्वमसृजत्
यदिदम् किञ्च
यदिदं किञ्च
इदं किञ्च
तत्सृष्ट्वा
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 तदेवानुप्राविशत्
तदेवानुप्राविशत
तदेवानुप्राविशत्
तदनुप्रविश्य
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 सच्छत्यच्छाभवत्
सच्चचाभवत्
सच्चचाभवत्
निरुक्तम् चानिरुक्तम् च
निरुक्तं च
निरुक्तं
निरुक्तं
चानिरुक्तं
च
च
निलयनम् चानिलयनम् च
निलयनं च
निलयनं
निलयनं च
च
विज्ञानम् चाविज्ञानम् च
विज्ञानं च
विज्ञानं
विज्ञानं
चाभिज्ञानं च
च
सत्यम् चानृतम् सत्यम् अभवत्
सत्यं
सत्यं
चानृतं
चानृतं
च
च
सत्यमभवत्
सत्यमभवत्
तदिदम् किञ्च
यदिदं
यदिदं
किञ्च
किञ्च
तत्सत्यमित्याचक्षते
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 तदप्येष श्लोको भवति.
तदप्येष
तद्येष
श्लोको
श्लोको
भवति
भवति.
So we saw part of this in the last class. We saw that this quotation is talking about one of the misunderstandings of the Vedantic student. Because it's easy to understand Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, and Vijnanamaya. And it is easy to even understand Anandamaya conceptually because experience pleasure is known to everybody. But when Shruti talks about Atma Ananda, the beginning and even the middle students, middle level students, they look for the experience of that Atmananda, right? But experience is only of Kosha Ananda. only of Anandamaya Kosha. The Atmananda cannot be experienced because it is you. Right? Why is it not experienceable? Because it is you, the eternal Brahman, and you cannot look for the arrival of something which is eternal. Right? So this is a problem. And here we are saying that Atmananda cannot be experienced. But the idea is that we should not say that because Atmananda cannot be experienced, Atmananda does not exist. So it's a subtle point being made here. Atmananda cannot be experienced because it is you, right? And if you say that I am unable to experience Atmananda, therefore Atmananda does not exist, what you are saying is I do not exist. And the very fact that you are saying that I do not exist makes that statement itself illogical. So that is what is being said away. Asanneva sabhavati. The one who says that Brahman or Atma does not exist. And Shankara gives two meanings for asan. Word asan. Asanneva means indeed as if non-existent. So Shankara says one word, one meaning of asan is it is non-existent, which is the straightforward meaning. So when you say Atmananda is non-existent, basically what you are saying, the one who is saying that Atmananda is non-existent, the speaker himself is non-existent, right? So Shankara says, when you say that the one who is saying is non-existent, where is the question of a non-existent person attaining moksha? Therefore, the one who says Brahman doesn't exist, or Atma doesn't exist, or Atmananda doesn't exist, he is not fit for attaining moksha. He will never attain moksha because he has not understood that he is Atma. And the second meaning he says, asan can be taken as not dharmika, because dharma is meaningful and necessary for attaining Brahman, for getting moksha. And if you don't accept Brahman, then you are not accepting Shastra at all. So for you, moksha itself irrelevant. Therefore, Shruti says here, Asad Brahmeti Ved Chetan. Asad Brahmeti Ved Chetan. This is the third statement in that Anuvaka 6. So second statement, Asad Brahmeti Ved Chetan. The first one is Asanneva Sabhavati. The second one is Asad Brahmeti Ved Chetan. Asad Brahmeti Ved Chetan. Brahma iti Asat Veda. The one who says that Brahman is not existent. He says such a person. So Shankara writes, Asanna Purushartha Sambandhi. Such a person cannot be associated with the final Purushartha of moksha, which means such a person cannot get moksha at all. For him, moksha is not possible. On the other hand, the third statement is Asti Brahmeti Chet Veda. He says Chet if Veda, he thinks, he accepts Brahma Asti, iti, that Brahman exists. Then this is a person who has accepted the existence of Brahman. This is a person who has got faith in the Shastra. And therefore, what kind of Brahman is it? That Brahman which is the substratum of everything. So Shankara writes a very beautiful comment. Yet sarvam vikalpa aspadam. Aspadam literally means that on which something sits, the seat or substratum, the adhisthana. Therefore, yet sarvam vikalpa adhisthana. That which is the adhishthanam, substratum of everything, of the entire universe. So what is, when you say something is the adhishthanam of the entire universe, in the statement Srishti Sthiti Laya, which part is it referring to?
The sthiti, karan.
Sthiti Karanam, right? So here, that Brahman, which is Sthiti Karanam, And then Shankara writes again, Sarvam Pravarti Bijam. It is the seed from which the entire universe is born. And this is Srishti Karana. And he adds, of course, that it is also the resolution ground. It is the Laya Karanam also. So this Brahman, which is Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya, even though that Brahman is not available for perception. Right. So there is often a statement made by people who have studied science saying that there is no proof for the existence of Brahman. Therefore, we cannot accept that Brahman exists. When such a person comes to you and says, where is the proof for the existence of Brahman? What would you say? What is the argument you can give? Logical argument.
It is Indriya Agocharam, so Brahman cannot be perceived.
Correct. That is what he is also saying, that you cannot perceive Brahman. You cannot touch Brahman. You cannot taste Brahman. You cannot smell Brahman. So my five Indriyas don't grasp Brahman. So that means there is no proof that Brahman exists. Therefore, Brahman does not exist. What is the fallacy in that statement? It's very important for a Vedantic student to understand how this statement is a fallacy.
I am Brahman, that Brahman I am.
That is what you are saying. But he is
Yeah.
telling you that he is not able to perceive Brahman. Therefore, see, his statement is very logical. He is not able to perceive Brahman. Therefore, there is no proof that Brahman exists. Therefore, Brahman does not exist.
No proof of non-existence doesn't
Hmm.
mean it doesn't exist.
Very good.
Because
So, the argument you make is that proof of non existence is not the same as what? Existence of proof of non existence. Right? The fact that you cannot prove that something exists is simply that there is no proof. But the fact that there is no proof of non existence is not proof of non existence. A very complicated statement.
no, it's simple. No proof of non-existence doesn't mean that it's
No
That
proof of
proof
non
it
of
existence.
doesn't exist.
non-existence.
Exactly. No proof of non
Hmm.
existence is not proof of non existence. That is an argument you can give. And you can also say that can you prove that Brahman does not exist? Because Brahman is not what they call graspable by the sense organs. In his own logic, there is no proof of non existence. How then can he prove that it does not exist? So at the most, you can say that I believe that Brahman exists. And he can say, I don't believe that Brahman exists. His I don't believe that Brahman exists is flawed logic because he is using the statement that proof of non existence is the same as non existence of proof. That's a flawed logic. For you, the logic is very different. You believe that Brahman exists. Why? Because Shastra tells you so. You have a pramana. He doesn't have a pramana. That is the argument we give, right? And so, if a person knows that Brahman exists, what is the advantage? When you say Brahman exists, you are saying I exist. And therefore, you accept the Shastram. Shastram says you are Brahman. Once you accept that, once you assimilate that, that is moksha. Right? So if you have to accept the existence of Brahmananda, remember that you have to depend upon Shastra. Because it is Shastra who says that Brahmananda is you. There is the fact that you exist, the fact that I am, that doesn't need any Shastra. It's a aparoksha jnana. I exist. I am. I am existing and I am conscious. You follow? Everybody can say, at least all human beings can say, that I exist and I am conscious. But if you have to say that this existing conscious me is Brahman, that requires Shastra. And therefore, what Shastra is saying that you accept that Brahman exists, right? You accept that you exist. And when you study the Shastram, you will sooner or later be convinced that you who exist are not different from Brahman who exists. So that is what Shruti is saying here. Then look at the next line. Santam enam tato viduhu iti. The person who knows Brahman as existing, what happens? The viduhu, the wise people, enam santam, they say that he exists. Right? It's a very nice statement. The person who says, who believes that Brahman exists, he may not have studied Shastra. He may be on Vedantic portions he may not study, but he simply believes because of the Purva Veda which he's been, or the culture which he's been brought up in, that Brahman exists. For him, Brahman is right now Paroksha, outside himself. But the Viduhu, the wise people, Santamena, they say that this person exists. And not only that, they say that existence is as Brahman. Vidyamanam Brahma, Brahma Swarupena, he says. The wise person believe, say that the person who says that Brahman exists is none other than Brahman. And Shankara, of course, gives another interpretation. He says, Athava, the one who thinks that Brahman does not exist, what happens? For him, no sadhana is relevant. Why? Because you don't want to do karma yoga or upasana yoga, because you don't believe in moksha. Therefore, where is the question of having chitta shuddhi as an objective? Therefore, you do not do all that. And since you do not have chitta shuddhi as an objective, you do not have to come to Shravanam Maranam. So, karma yoga, upasana yoga, jnana yoga, all the three sadhanas, they become irrelevant for him. Which means what? Veda Purva has become irrelevant. The Karma Kanda has become irrelevant. And the Jnana Kanda, the Veda Anta has become irrelevant. And if the entire Veda is irrelevant, then for you, for that person, for whom the entire Veda has become irrelevant, the Varna Ashrama scheme has become irrelevant. Right? Remember that all Vaidika karma is based on Varna Ashrama status, what we call Varna Ashramadi Vyavastha. Right? And therefore, for him, Vaidika karma itself is irrelevant. Such a person, for him, where is the question of getting any moksha? Therefore, Shankar says such a person is a nastika. He is an atheist. And therefore, he becomes asadhuhu, adharnika, immoral. Iti. So as you can see, there's an iti over there. Viduhu iti. The iti indicates that the rig mantra is over. So from asanneva sa bhavati up to santam enam tato viduhu. This is the rig mantra which was referred to in the last anuvaka. Now comes the rest of it. Tasyesha eva sharira atma yaf purvasya. So purvasya here is vijnanamayasya, right? So esha eva sharira atma. Within that vijnanamaya kosha, purvasya, the vijnanamaya kosha referred to earlier, there is the anandamaya kosha. Yaha esha anandamaya. Anandamaya kosha is there. And remember that Anandamaya kosha is a kosha. And there is a Ananda which is the Atma of the Anandamaya Kosha. And because there is something inner to the Anandamaya Kosha, which is pure Ananda. Pure Ananda is not different from Brahman, not different from Atma. Therefore, that idea converts the Anandamaya into a Kosha. Right? And you have to remember here that Anandamaya consists of parts. What are the parts?
Priyamoda, Pramoda.
Priyamoda, Pramoda.
Pramoda, Pramoda. Therefore, another proof that Anandamaya is not Brahman, because Brahman has no parts. And therefore, since Anandamaya is consciousness also, and the Priya, Moda, Pramoda, Vritti also, thoughts also, which are Anatma, Anandamaya is also a mixture of Anatma and Atma. Okay, it's a very important idea being brought out here. The other koshas are pure Anatma, the other four koshas. But Anandamaya is a mixture because so it got parts, Priya, Moda, Pramoda. Okay. Now, therefore, here Shankara writes a note so that we are not confused. He says, in this Rig Mantra, you should understand this portion as referring to Brahman and not Anandamaya Kosha. Why is the confusion possible? He says, Tasyesha eva sharira atma yah purvasya. The word kosha is not very clear, is not used at all. So you may end up thinking it is Brahman. So Shankara says, you should be clear in your mind that it is not Anandamaya, it is not the Anandamaya kosha, it is Brahman. Okay. Then supposing somebody doubts the existence of Anandamaya kosha. Remember that Anandamaya kosha is uh, consists of Priya, Moda, Pramoda Vrittis. And Priya, Moda, Pramoda Vrittis are the basis for all experiences of pleasure. They are kosha Ananda, but they are kosha Ananda means experience Ananda. So Priya is an experience Ananda, Moda is experience Ananda, Pramoda is experience Ananda. And supposing there is a person who is experiencing no Ananda at all, he is miserable. Such a person may say that I don't experience any Ananda at all. Therefore, how can Anandamaya Kosha exist now? Is it possible?
No, he doesn't know his nature that he's Satchitananda. Actually, he is, but he is not aware of the fact.
Okay. So, what he is going to say is that there is no such thing as Anandamaya Kosha at all. I don't experience Ananda. Therefore, when you say interior to Vijnanamaya Kosha, there is no such thing as Anandamaya Kosha. Therefore, it is Ananda at all. And that is why Shankar writes here that remember that there are these three parts Priya, Moda, Pramoda. And Brahman has no parts. Brahman is free from parts. Therefore, you should not think the interior is Anandamaya, Ananda itself. Interior to Vijnanamaya is not Ananda. It is Anandamaya Kosha. Interior to Anandamaya Kosha is the Ananda. So what is being said is Anandamaya is the container for Ananda, which is the content. Remember that all the koshas are therefore ultimately only the containers. What are they? Annamaya kosha is the container for which kosha?
Pranamaya.
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 Pranamaya is the
Pranamaya.
container for Manomaya.
Manomaya.
Manomaya is container for Vijnanamaya.
Vijnanamaya.
Vijnanamaya is container for Anandamaya kosha. That is what Shankara is saying. Remember that. Anandamaya kosha is the last container and the content is Brahman. So now we should get back to the three original questions. What is Brahman was the first question which we discussed. How to know Brahman? was another question. Panchakosha Viveka we did discussed. What is the third question? How do you attain that Brahman? How do you get moksha? Okay. Now, before you go to this question, there is some, as you can see, athatho, anuprashnaha. Ataha. There is a ataha, anuprashnaha. A prashna is a question. Anu means following something. Therefore, there is a question which is based on the teaching. Anuprashna is basically the question based on the teaching. And therefore, this portion is not Shravanam now, it is Mananam. So, athato anuprashna, the question based on the teaching. What is the question? So, the question is that Brahman is the common cause, the common karanam to all jivas. Why? Because it is the cause for everything, for the entire universe, including the anatma portion, space, five elements, everything. And also, the question is now coming. Because it is a common karanam for all jivas. And how do you know that? Because it is a common karanam for everything, for the entire universe. The entire universe includes anatma and atma. And therefore, it is the cause for everything, including all jivas. Not only that, because I am saying all jivas, says the student who is questioning, all jivas include jnani jivas and ajnani jivas. Right? Now the question is coming up. You are saying that at the time of the death, the jnani merges into Brahman. Does the ajnani also merge into Brahman at the time of death? That is the question. So that's what he says here. Utaha vidvan lokam pretya. On death, imam lokam, that Brahman, vidvan, does he reach? Utaha avidvan lokam pretya. On death, does the ajnani also reach Brahman? Is the question. Utaha means, utaha is in the sense of api, you know. Api is used in what we call prashna arthe, in the meaning of a question, to indicate a question. Therefore, this uta is a question. The question is, avidvan lokam pretya. After death, pretya, does the avidvan, the ajnani, also reach Brahman? What is the import of that question?
What is the benefit of being a jnani?
Very good.
Or studying
Therefore,
all.
or studying all this. The question is whether the ajnani merges into Brahman or does he not merge? This is question number one. Then the second question is kaschana gacchati aho vidvan amam loka pret. Kaschit samashnuta. So here, how does he go? Aho. It's a expression. Aho. Indeed. And here it is vidvan amam loka pret. Does the jnani, the vidvan, also merge into Brahman or not? Here the Pluta. What is the Pluta?
A longer duration, we say the word.
Indicated by the number 3 which you are seeing over there.
Yeah.
Kaschana gacchati. So Acharyas say that the Pluta is here indicated, is given to indicate a question. So does he merge or does he not merge with Brahman? The Vidwan. Okay. And how do you know for the question? The question, the Pluta indicates question. Well, Shankara does not say, but there is something called Taitriya Vartika, a sub-commentary by Sureshwaracharya. He says, Pluta means vichararthe, for the purpose of inquiry. So we'll take it as that. Now, in this teaching, remember, Brahman has been presented as Srishti Karanam, all things and beings. So all Anatma, Anatma, the entire Srishti is the Karyam. Brahman is the Karanam. And the student is saying that at the time of creation, all the Karyams, the products, emanate from the cause. And at the time of destruction of Srishti, all the Karyams, they go back into the cause. They merge back into the cause. With regard to this particular process, there is no choice. The product has to merge back into the creator, Ishvara or Brahman. And this is irrespective of the status of the product. All anatma, mountains, oceans, all these will merge back into Ishvara or Brahman. Plants, insects, animals will also merge back into Ishvara or Brahman. Human beings will also merge back into Ishvara or Brahman. And it doesn't matter whether the human being has got moksha or not. When he dies, he will merge back into Brahman. And therefore, it's also been saying that, it's also been defined elsewhere that Brahma attainment, merger into Brahman is moksha. And therefore, question is, keeping all this in mind, the student is saying, will the Ajnani merge into Brahman after death or not? If the answer is yes, then as one of you said, where is the need for all this study? The Shastram is pointless. If the but the more interesting thing is, what if you say Ajnani does not merge into Brahman? What is the logical fallacy there? Because I can say, no, 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 only Jnani merge into Brahman. What if you say Ajnani does not merge into Brahman? What is the problem? It's a very nice Maranam question. Anybody?
Acharyaji, you just stated that the all the karyams do go back into their own cause.
Yeah, okay.
So
But I'm saying, logically, if somebody says, if I come and tell you, no, no, Rituji, I have only Jnanis will merge into Brahman, Ajnanis cannot merge into Brahman. What is the logical fallacy in that statement?
will they have
Acharyaji,
other cause,
At the
different cause?
there is Dvaitam. That means if it doesn't go into Brahman, that means it goes somewhere else. That shows there is Dvaitam.
Advaitam is one thing. What is a more interesting
Oh,
argument?
selective, it is
it
the
is,
selective process.
Yes, Ambarish?
yeah. Now both will merge with Brahman, but Ajnani will take a rebirth, while Jnani will be merging forever.
Fine, but I'm saying no, no, Ambarish, Ajnani does not merge with Brahman. What is your answer to that? What is the logical fallacy in that statement which you can point out?
The Bengal, when destroyed, will become gold only. It cannot be anything else.
No, but supposing he said, no, 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 Bengal is not going to get back into gold. See, I'll give you the answer. If you say no, Ajnani does not merge into Brahman, then it means Brahman is not Karanam.
Yes,
Because Karyam has to merge into Karanam only. So if you say Ajnani is not merging into Brahman, then you are destroying the Karanam status of Brahman, which means
yes,
that Jnani also cannot merge into Brahman. That is the problem.
yes, yes.
Moment you say that Ajnani will not merge, you are accepting Jnani also will not merge. Okay, now here is a pure, grammatical point, but it's a very nice point, so I'm telling you. So Shankara points out that in the mantra, the word anuprashnaha is used. If you look at that statement, is anuprashnaha, right? Now in Sanskrit grammar, for those who are familiar with it, prashnaha, so prashnaha, prashnau, and prashnaha. These are the three. Singular, prashnaha, prashnau, two, prashnaha, minimum three or more than two basically, prashnaha. So the word implies that there should be minimum of three questions which the student is asking. But he has asked only two. Does the Jnani merge? Does the Ajnani merge? What is the third question? So none of us will ever figure this out. So Shankara says that there are actually three questions. The third question is not really asked. It's an implied question. But once you verbalize that question, then it becomes three, and therefore there's nothing wrong with the mantra. So he says, look at the beginning of the portion. Asanneva sabhavati, asad brahmeti vedcheta, all that. Okay. So the Upanishad has introduced two types of people. Asanneva sabhavati, it does not exist. Asat brahmeti does not exist. Asti brahmeti, right? So one says Brahman doesn't exist. One says Brahman exists. So there are two people, Astikas and Nastikas. And as we discussed, Brahman is not available for the sense organs. It is Indriya Agocharam, it is Mana Agocharam also, it is Buddhi Agocharam also. It's not available for grasping by Indriyas, by mind, or by intellect. And therefore, Shankara says, if you have to say that does Jnani merge into Brahman, or does Ajnani not merge into Brahman, before you ask these two questions, there should be one more question. What is that?
Does Brahman exist?
Does Brahman exist or not? Therefore, says this question has not been asked. That is implied. Therefore, the first question should be, does Brahman exist or not? And then, does Jnani merge into Brahman? If Brahman exists, does Jnani merge into Brahman? If Brahman exists, does Ajnani merge into Brahman? So we have to handle the first question first. Does Brahman exist? Okay. Now this is the following portion is an answer to that. And this runs into uh, Anuvaka 7 and Anuvaka 8 also. So we will now enter into that portion. So Shruti is going to show us that Brahman exists. There should be no reason for the existence of Brahman. And the first supporting reason is given in the portion from uh, So Kamayat Bhavasyaam Prajayeti Satapotapyat Satapastaptva Idam Sarvam Asrujat and Idam Kincha. This is the first reason. There are many reasons being given, seven of them. This is the first reason. So Kamayata means Brahman desired. Iti, in this manner. What is that? Bahusyam prajaye yeti. Let me be born as multiples. This is his Brahman's sankalpa. Bahusyam prajaye yeti. Let me be born as many. Let me become many. And towards the end, what did he do? Saha atapyata. He performed tapas and taptva. Having performed the tapas, sa asrajata, he created what? Sarvam idam. All this. And yet kinchit. Whatever is existing, he created. So this is the first supporting reason for saying that yes, Brahman exists. And how do we understand this particular part of the mantra? Whenever you see, this is a very common logical argument used for the existence of the Lord, not only in our scriptures, but logically, anybody who talks about existence of a supreme creator uses this. And how do you start? You go to the worldly products and say that I see a intelligently made product having a specific function to perform. Can this product come accidentally? No. Whenever there is an intelligent design for a particular function, then you have to conclude through logic that someone has conceived of the idea, someone has designed the product, someone has produced the product. Therefore, there is an intelligent being involved, right? Now, for example, let us say you go and buy one of these Alexas, Alexa is amazing, innovation. You can tell it what is the time, what is my name, everything will tell you. Okay, what is my name? It will not tell you, but I have a Google speaker. Okay, that Google speaker tells me my name if I ask it. So, what is my name? He'll say you are Ravi. So, amazing, inventions. Can you think that it just came by itself, randomly got into being? No, there has to be an intelligent creator. And I don't see the designer or the maker of that speaker, but still, I have no doubt that the intelligent creator is there. I have, in Shastric terms, I have no doubt that there is Upadana Karanam because the speaker is in front of me. The material itself is the Upadana, right? I have no doubt that the plastic, which is now in the shape of a speaker and all the wiring inside, could not have come by itself. So I must know there is a nimitta karanam also. That's an inference. Since there is an intelligently designed product which works in the way it is supposed to work, there should be an intelligent creator, the nimitta karanam. And you can extend that everything that is a product which has an intelligent design and which fulfills a purpose in creation. The mountains, trees, rivers, oceans, even the ozone layer. The ozone layer is not there. There will be no ability to support life. Look at the placement of Earth. A few thousand kilometers closer to the sun, and we would have all burnt up long ago. A few thousand kilometers away from the sun, and we would have all frozen to death. So there is an intelligent design. It cannot be random. So this is the principle on which is based. This idea is based. Okay. Now, Saha Kamayataha. That Brahman, Saha, that Brahman, with Maya mind. Okay. He desired. And incidentally, Shankara writes in his commentary, which not really relevant here, but I can give it to you because it's interesting. In Sanskrit, words have a gender, irrespective of the object to which the word refers. Right? For example, bharya. There is a word bharya. It means wife. Bharya literally means that which is carried. So I'm not going into all that. Bharya means wife, and the lady is always feminine. So in this case, the word bharya is feminine. The object to which the word refers, the lady, is also feminine. But wife is also called dhara. You are familiar with that, right? Wife is also called dhara. Dhara, the word is masculine gender, but the object, the lady, is feminine. And there's another word called kalatram, also meaning wife. Kalatram is neuter gender, but the object of the word kalatram, wife, the lady, is feminine gender. Small little point made out that the word has a gender irrespective of the uh, object to which the word refers. There's a small point made by Shankara, so I thought I would share it with you. Okay, so what is being answered now? Whether Brahman exists or not. So Brahman is not available for any form of transaction we know. Right? We also know that any product, thinking processes we must remember. We also know that any product will finally merge back into its karanam at the time of destruction. In fact, the very definition of destruction is merger of product back into cause. Like a pot is destroyed when it merges back into clay. The gold necklace is destroyed when it is melted back into gold. So in this answer, it's a very interesting answer. Several Vedantic ideas are. So it is said that the universe has to have a intelligent cause, which we call nimitta karanam, and this nimitta karanam is Brahman. Then the question comes up: how does Brahman create the universe? In fact, the act of creation involves three things: the desire to create, the knowledge to create, and the capacity to create, the physical capacity. So, Ichha Shakti, the desire, Jnana Shakti, the knowledge, Kriya Shakti is the actual action, which is creation. Okay. And now, in this case, so kamayataha is the desire. He desired to create the universe. Right? Then, Jnana Shakti, he must have visualized the entire universe. And it's a act that visualization is a very complex visualization which we cannot even understand because it has to visualize the karma of each individual jiva which is being created, and therefore in accordance with that individual and totality of karmas, the universe should have the factors necessary to give the karma phala. So it's a very complex creation which we are not going into because we cannot understand. And then finally, the kriya is there, the concrete action of creation. So sakamayataha, akamayataha. Brahman, he wanted to create the universe. The moment you say that Brahman wanted to create the universe, you have to ask where did the desire happen? The desire has to happen in the mind. In case of Brahman, where is this mind? So the answer we know. This mind is called Maya, and Maya has got Ichha Shakti. So when Brahman uses that Maya, it becomes Maya Sahita Brahman, which we call Ishvara. So when Brahman creates, he creates in the role of Ishvara using Maya. Okay. The next question is why should Brahman want to create the universe? Because it's Purnam. Why did he get the desire at all? Because we say desires are born from avidya. Avidya produces what? Karma. Karma produces karma phala. Therefore, the moment desire is there, the whole process of samsara starts. That's Krishna said, Prajahati yada kama sarvan kama manogata. A person who drops all desires is a person who is free. Therefore, the desire is samsara. How will interpret that statement? Brahman had a desire. What is the reason Brahman had the desire to create? Is it a binding desire? Is it a non-binding desire? All these terms we have seen before.
Acharyaji, I think
Non-binding.
he has said it's
Non-binding. He has no desire.
sankalpa matrena. It's just the sankalpa of Ishvara
What purpose?
for the
Karma exhaustion of the
exhaustion
jiva.
of karma of
Very
the
good. So it
jivas.
is
All
for
the jivas.
for the exhaustion of karma of the jivas, fructification of karma of all jivas. And this fructification cannot happen unless the jiva has a physical body, and the physical body has to have the world to interact with. And therefore, he desired, it's a non binding desire. The third question we have asked several times, but still we can ask: how did this punya papam of the jivas come? Remember, right now it's pralayam because he's saying, I want to create. So there is no history. So then the answer is very simple, due to karma of the previous Srishti. Right? Srishti is cyclic. Therefore, in any particular creation, the karma of the jivas of the previous Srishti is the factor which is to be taken into consideration. And how did the last Srishti come? There's no first Srishti at all because creation is a linear process. We know all this. Okay. Now, so what is the idea here? So in his commentary, Shankara brings in the concept of binding and non-binding desires. So he says these desires are not binding. Why? Because he is not enslaved by those desires. He is simply doing loka sangraha. He needs to create to ensure that the karma of the jivas are fulfilled. Right? So Shuddha kama is a term used which is non-binding desire. And we should remember, kamaha, desires can be there, providing they are Shuddha kamas. And Shuddha kamas do not cause samsara. But where it is not Shuddha kama, it is Ashuddha kama, that forces the jiva into activity. That pravritti is forced by Ashuddha kama. Shuddha kama pravritti is a choice. So therefore he says, because there are only Shuddha kamas, only non-binding desires, Ishvara is not bound. Right? So then what exactly is this Shuddha kama? He says, Satyam Jnana Lakshanaha. The Shuddha kamas, the non-binding desires, are of the nature of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Which means what? The desires are not different from Ishvara. Ishvara himself is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. And if the desires are also Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, they are not separate from Ishvara. And therefore, there is no second thing. A limitation can occur only if there is a second thing. Therefore, since the desire also is in the nature of Brahman only, they are not separate from Ishvara. Therefore, there is no question of any apurnatvam happening. And therefore, desires do not force Ishvara into activity. Okay. And Brahman uses these desires for what purpose? To create the universe for the purpose of the exhaustion of the karma of all the jivas, karma phalam of all the jivas. Again, we should remember here, if you ask, why did Brahman then create jivas at all? It's only if the jivas were there, karma phalam has to be created, has to be exhausted. Why did Ishvara simply not keep quiet? Why did he create jivas? What is the answer?
The desire to be more than one, as you said in the earlier time.
But why? The whole problem of being forced to create the universe is because there are jivas. Had he not said, I want to create jivas, then there was no problem at all. No jiva, no karma phala, no srishti. Ishvara could have rested in peace.
Jivas are anadi. They are always there carrying their karma.
Very good. So
Is
Ishvara did
that?
not create jivas.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're
Remember
always
that
there.
karma shariram is never created. It has always been there. So, and this we mentioned, that Ishvara, then Pragnya, all these are anadi people. They have never been created. And therefore, Shankara sums up by saying that Brahman is not dependent upon karma, and therefore Brahman is not apurnam because he has Shuddha Kama. Shuddha Kama is born out of a desire for benefiting the others. Loka Sangraha. Ashuddha Kama is born out of ignorance, avidya. So Kama has been now discussed. What exactly is Kama? How is Brahman's desire non-binding? What is binding desire? What is non-binding desire? How is it that the desire to create the universe does not indicate apurnatvam in Brahman? All this we have discussed. So out of three topics, jnana, ichha, and kriya, ichha is being discussed, right? Therefore, in this manner, having this non-binding desire, what did Brahman say? What did Ishvara say? Bahusyam prajayet. Let me be born as many. A very interesting point here is that in the normal world, a parent can only produce its own species. A human being can produce only another human being. A tiger can produce only a baby tiger. But in the case of Ishvara, remember, Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavantiyaha Tasam Brahma Mahadyoni. Okay. Where do we find all that?
Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, Krishna tells that all the jivas in creation are produced by me. All species in creation are produced by me. Therefore, Brahma Mahadyonihi, that Brahman, which I am, Ishvara, is the womb of all beings. And it is Anatma, Atma, all types of conscious beings, all types of jivas. I am the womb. So with this, the discussion on Ichha Shakti is over. So we'll stop here. In the next class, we'll go to Jnana Shakti. Any questions? We have a minute left.
Acharyaji, Ichha
Yep.
will be there. Ichha, shouldn't the Ichha be there only if the knowledge of that is there?
No.
So, if I don't know about Gulab Jamun, how will I desire?
Let us say that you want to fly. Is that Ichha?
Yes.
But you don't know how to fly. So you have to go to the Wright brothers and design a plane. That requires jnana. So here, Ichha Shakti, he has basic knowledge that there is the whole set of jivas are there. They have a lot of karma phala. And it is my job as Ishvara to help them get the karma phala experienced. That is the background knowledge with which he has a ichha saying that now let me create the universe for that purpose. How to create the universe? What are the specifics required? That will come out of jnana.
Ji.
So with
Thank you.
this, we'll stop for today. Om Purnamada
Purnamada
Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Mudachyate
Purnamudachyate
Purnasya
Purnasya
Purnamadaya
Purnamādāya
Purnam Meva
Purnamevāvasishyate.
Vashishyate Om
Om
Shanti
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 Shanti.
Om Tat Sat Om
Om
Namah
Tat Sat.
Shivaya. Thank you for
Namah
your
Shivaya.
presence. Om
You.